Ha- Okay, I apologize, everybody. I ran into some technical difficulties. Um, so I know that this isn't the original stream that I had set up. Let's hope that this one works. Yes. All right. Facebook shows me live. So again, I truly and truly apologize, everybody. Um, Let me get over here to my actual profile so that I can share the stream. I'm sharing under the wrong profile because I'm a goof. I apologize for today. It's been absolutely crazy. I already had to push the stream up because I'm sorry, you all. I absolutely needed bestie time this week because it's been a crazy, crazy week. Come join me for 511, the Grittiest week one. Then I start to run that. Yeah, Mr. Reese behind branding. All right, I apologize again a million times. Oh, all right. So let me pull up my notes because again, life couldn't be easy this week. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, I almost forgot to leave my stream up. This way I can hear and kind of see what's going on so I know all the good stuff. All right. Welcome. I apologize again for the technology hell. I was trying to use OBS and I apparently input the wrong stream key, and so that just led to a whole bunch of problems, which is all right. We will do it this way for a while until I can get my life together. This week's just not it. All right. So let me actually swap my screens. I need to have my PowerPoint much bigger. All right. Let me make that bigger and resize it. Oh, that's so much nicer on the screen. All right, let me make this. Okay, well, that's not going to go any bigger. All right, that's fine. I'm sorry. I'm still trying to get life kind of together. All right. For those of you who don't know, and I'm usually way more organized, my name is Raylan Zelinsky, and I run Cosmic Lotus Consulting LLC. I didn't create this series to talk to the tech bros in the Silicon Valley or people with Series A funding burning holes in their pocket. I created this series just for small businesses like you, the roofers, the painters, the boutique owners, the local nonprofits who are tired of being told that they need to scale when they really just need to pay rent and own their block. We are going to spend the next 10 weeks turning your lack of resources into a tactical weapon that the big box stores can't even comprehend. So, over the next 2.5 months, you can expect a master class that is professionally deep and slightly unhinged. You guys will notice that I don't really like eye contact, so I apologize. Looking into the camera the entire time is a little difficult for me. So you will notice me looking all over. Um, it's normal for me. I'm autistic. I figured I'd preface that. So we are also going to tear down your at Yahoo email addresses and fix your ransom note flyers. If you're not sure what I mean by ransom note flyers, you know, those things that looks like you cut and pasted them from a magazine and your local newspaper. And we're going to teach you how to use drones and satellites so you can stop wasting gas on bad leads. I'm also going to move through the psychological triggers of your customers and learn why your dirty work boots are more trustworthy than a $10,000 commercial. And we're going to talk about building a fortress around your business that gentrification absolutely cannot touch. Loki, place. I apologize. So by week 10, we won't just be looking at your likes on Instagram. We will be looking at the legacy that you leave behind in the neighborhood. You won't be just surviving. You're on your way to becoming a landmark. Now, before we start diving into the math of being broke, I want everyone to give a shout out to your business. Include your name, how many years that you've been fighting for your spot in the neighborhood, and let's see who the real OGs are in the room. Now, what I'm going to also do is I'm going to hop in the chat and I am going to leave you guys with, oh, why won't this scroll down for me? There we go. So I'm going to paste all of the resources in the chat as we go. So the first resource is, of course, my website. All right. So now we're going to move on. All right. So we are going to be talking about week 1. And this is the Brand Master syllabus that you're currently looking at. And I'm going to go ahead and paste that link here. You may have to request access for the next link that I just posted, which is totally fine. I will give everybody access once the live is over. All right. So 10 weeks to a bulletproof neighborhood brand. And we're going to talk about the 3 different phases. 1 is the foundation. This is going to be your weeks 1 through 3. First, we're going to be fixing your brain and your business card. We're going to use real economic research, not just vibes, to prove to your customers that you are the only safe choice in your zip code. If you've been feeling like an imposter, then phase 1 is where we kill that for good. Now, phase 2, the attack. This is where we go on the offensive. And we're going to learn how to make Google love you and how to turn your daily grind into content that people find addictive. Finally, we're going to be on to phase 3, the fortress. This is week 7 through 10. And this is where we're going to talk about how to keep your soul when the neighborhood changes and how to use tech like drones and satellites to work smarter, not harder. You've been looking for the neighborhood. You've been working for the neighborhood long enough, and it's time to make the neighborhood work for you. So tell me, which of these three phases sounds the most intimidating? Is it phase one, the foundation? Is it phase two, the attack? Or phase three, the fortress? Give it a shout out. Tell me which one of these is what scares you the most. All right. Who's tired of hearing me blab on? And who's ready to actually officially dive into week one? All right. So, for this first week, we're going to be talking about the scarcity engine, why having no money is your greatest R&D asset. And here is everybody's next link. And this is an article from the Harvard Business School, I believe. I apologize. I'm 95% sure that this came from Harvard Business School. It could have very much have come from Harvard Business Review. I utilize both. Actually, yes, it's the Harvard Business School. Oh, I'm so glad I put it in. All right. Welcome to the only business class that won't ask you for a Series A pitch deck or a 50-page business plan. We're starting with a concept from Harvard called the resource slack. Basically, when big companies have too much money, they get stupid. They spend 100K on a discovery phase for a product that nobody wants. But you, on the other hand, discover things because if you don't solve a customer's problem by Tuesday, then the lights are going to go out. That's a powerful filter. In business theory, we call what you do bricolage. It's the art of turning whatever you have on the truck into a solution. Scarcity forces you to be efficient while abundance makes you bloated and slow. Raise your hand if you've ever had to fix a piece of equipment with duct tape or a prayer just to finish the job. That's not struggling. That's constraint-based engineering. Did you like that little reframe, guys? Now, you may be wondering, how does this week tie into funding and innovation? The answer, my pretties, is that innovation is how people come to trust you, trust your business, and look at you like you're a legitimate business, and is also linked to how much money you have. This resource slack theory can be applied to most aspects. Oops, I apologize. Most aspects of business. When businesses have too much money, they forget what's most important. Whereas you, the average Joe, small business, you are required to understand the difference between what's important to you, what's important to the business, and what's important to your customers. This is where innovation in branding comes in. Maybe you prefer old school flyers, but maybe they only bring you in 20% of your business. Your business website brings in 40% of your business. That's a fairly large increase. But what if your social media brought you another 40% of your business? In what ways do you think it would be easiest to make your business stand out? If you happen to have ideas on how you would make your business stand out, I'd like to see them in the comments. So the first The first thing that people are going to look at is brand consistency. Sadly, you can't build brand consistency if no one knows who you are. This is where money and innovation come in to branding. How to make yourself stand out using tactics that don't cost an arm and a leg, that you already have, or sorry, that you already, it doesn't cost the arm and the leg that you don't already have because you gave it to the bank last week for that new studio space. Sorry, that was confusing. Autism. It's been an overwhelming week, and I tried to go to the gym to help minimize um, my own. I'm not sure what to call them. Um, I'm not sure. Um, my own issues with overwhelm. Sorry. Autism is hard sometimes. All right. Let's try that again. How to make yourself stand out using tactics that don't cost the arm and the leg that you already gave the bank last week for that new studio space. There we go. Oh, okay. I feel better. Simple. It's brand yourself better across all of the platforms that your customers are already on. Oh, thank you, Loki. I needed that. Make your content more personalized towards each platform's audience. Oh, you're such a good boy. You're such a big helper, sir. I apologize. My service dog in training is over here trying to help me regulate, and I really appreciate him for it. Um, so the first, oh, I already read that. Always keep in mind that the target market in your head may not always be who your brand is attracted, who your brand has attracted. Always check your KPIs. And for those of you who don't know what KPI stands for, it's your key performing indexes. Also check your performance dashboards to help find out exactly who your real target market is. Build your brand based on those demographics to your target area. Think of your brand as a joint venture between you and the customers that support you. The customers invest in you, so you can invest in the business. And then the business is meant to reinvest in the customers. And one of the ways that a business can reinvest is by effective branding. It makes the customer feel something. And we're hoping for butterflies and a smile, but a simple head nod is also a really good start. Now, I could go on and on about why they are linked, but I think that you have a good enough basic idea, so enough nerdy info dumping. Thank you, Loki. Cool, my boy. All right, so next we're going to talk about the agility advantage. We're going to be talking about jet skis versus cargo ships. And so the next resource, no, you're such a good boy. The next resource that you guys are going to get is the lean startup methodology. Now, these are the free core principles of the lean startup methodology. And I would love for you guys to take a look. Going over the lean startup methodology is a great way to increase your profits without increasing how much you spend already on your business. And it lets you help identify what are some key areas that you are going to want to look at in your business. All right, guys, so we're going to talk about the agility statistics. Now let's look at those stats. 42% of all startups fail because they built something that nobody wanted. They had the money to be wrong. for too long. Guess what, guys? You don't have that luxury. You are a necessity entrepreneur, which means that you are 312% more likely to solve a real local problem than some tech bro in an incubator. Now, here's the big question. Why? Because you're in the mud, not a beanbag chair. Big companies are like giant cargo ships. It takes them 3 miles to turn around. But you're the jet ski. You can pivot your entire service model while their board of directors is still arguing over what kind of bottled water to serve at the meeting. Now, what is a service that you started offering this year just because a customer asked for it? That's a pivot. And how long did it take you to decide to do it? Now, for those of you, because I know that it's just the beginning of March, and I apologize, I am freezing while I am down in my office because it is cold. But for those of you that haven't launched something new just because a customer asked for it, how's that going for you? Ignoring your customers' wants and needs from your business. I bet that you're one of those people that is currently stuck in the mud. Now, if you're that second person where you haven't offered your customers much of anything that they've asked for recently, or if you haven't even bothered to see what would make them happy, this is perfect for you. This will help give you an amazing start and a good guideline. Ah. All right, guys. So this is the question and answer portion, which means we're almost done. Sorry, I zoomed through this week so that I still had time to get ready to hang out with my bestie today because, like I said, I pushed this up just for that. Next week, I promise I will be on time. I'm going to end up redoing all of my live streams. So I apologize if they disappear off of Facebook for next week's events and the succeeding 9 weeks. But they will be back because I'm just going to use another streaming software that I know works reliably. And then we won't have this issue next week and I won't rush. And so this will be closer to like 45 minutes to an hour. But now's the time that I really want you guys to interact. Start asking questions. Here are some questions that I'm just going to go through just in case we don't really have anybody in the chat, which as I see, there hasn't really been anybody, but that's all right. So if you guys have any questions, as you see this on the replay, please feel free to put them in the chat or email me. My email, and you can also use the contact me page on my website as well to ask me any of your questions. So here is the first question. If I took away your marketing budget and your equipment, what is the one branding hack you'd use to convince a stranger that you're the best in town? So I'm going to give everybody just a minute, even though I don't think that there's anybody in the chat, but just in case, I don't want to move too quickly. All right, now, if you're drawing a blank, we're going to start here. No truck, no fancy website, no tools, just you standing on a sidewalk. How do you prove that you're a pro? I'm going to give you guys just another minute to answer. All right. Are you guys ready? I'll tell you the answer. Expertise bombing. I'd walk up to someone with a visible problem, maybe a sagging gutter or a dying lawn, and I wouldn't sell them. I would educate. I would tell them exactly why this is happening and how to fix it on their own. Now, why? Because Harvard Business Research shows that utility branding, being useful before you're paid, builds 3 times more trust than a glossy flyer. Does anyone else have a $0 move? Or are we all just waiting for a Facebook ad to save us? I apologize, the dog's being a butt. That's why I wanted to make sure that I wasn't. Come on, Lo. Come on. All right. So I apologize for the dog breaking in and disrupting my live here. All right. So the $2,000 logo paradox. Now, the question is, why do we think a $2,000 logo makes us a brand? And when we can't get our brand consistency right on a when we can't even get our brand consistency right on a $5 yard sign. Loki, 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 Loki. I apologize, everybody. I see this all the time. A contractor spends $2,000 on a logo that looks like it belongs on a spaceship, but then they handwrite their own phone number on a piece of cardboard and stick it in a lawn. That is brand fragmentation. Signaling theory tells us that if our signals don't match, the customer assumes then that you're a fraud. Consistency is a signal of stability. If you can't be consistent with a Sharpie, then I don't trust you with a sledgehammer. Who here has a logo that they spent too much money on, but they haven't actually put on their shirt yet? Go ahead, don't be shy. Come on, Loki. All right, so question number 3. Which part of your brand identity is a nice to have vanity project that doesn't actually confuse your customers about what you actually do? Oh, I apologize. That actually confuses your customers about what you do. So let's try that again. Which part of your brand identity is a nice to have project that actually confuses your customers about what you do? So I'm going to give everybody just a minute. And then we are going to give the answer. I'll give a hint though, too. All right, so here's a hint. Let's talk about the shine. We all want to look like we're part of a Fortune 500 company. We get the fancy consultant titles or the over-engineered slogans. All right, now here's your answer. If you're a roofer and your slogan is architectural integrity for the modern era, guess what? Nobody's going to know what you do. They want to know if the leak is going to stop. That's a vanity project. Spending time on words that don't pay the rent. Harvard Business School calls this value disposition. Dissipation. Jesus, help if I could read. Autism. Value dissipation. You're spending energy on things that don't add value to you or the buyer. What's the fanciest thing about your business that actually does absolutely nothing for your bottom line? All right, so the next question. According to the Harvard Business Review, they say that scarcity breeds innovation. So if you had half the money that you have now, would your brand look more honest or just more desperate? This one doesn't have a hint. All right, so this is a big one. There is a very thin line between gritty and honest, and help me, I'm going under. If you had half of your current budget, would you stop trying to look corporate or start trying to look more like a neighbor? Honestly, in branding, honesty in branding is the new luxury. People in disadvantaged areas can smell a corporate lie from 3 miles away. If you're gritty, you're an institution. If you're desperate, then you're a flight risk. How do you show that you're a little guy who's successful without looking like you're trying to be a big guy who's failing? All right, so question number 5, and we're almost done. 2 more questions, 1 more question, and then we're going to close out. So, what is the most gritty thing about your business that you're currently hiding, but should actually be the centerpiece of your brand story? I'll give you guys a minute to answer. All right. Just so you know, we all hide the struggle. We hide the old equipment. We hide the long nights, the fact that we're working out of a kitchen table. But research into storytelling, branding shows that people connect with the overcoming, not the perfection. Your grime is your grit. If you started with one mower and a dream, that should be your brand story. It proves that you have a tenure that no new franchise can touch. What is something that you're embarrassed of that you should actually be bragging about? Can you guys guess what mine is? All right, question number 6, last question of the evening. If your brand was forced to survive on $0 for 30 days, would people still recognize your business by the way you solve their problems? I'll give you guys a little bit of a story after this. Um, oh, we're actually going to be right around our 45 minutes anyway. All right, guys, this is the final test. No ads, no logos, no uniforms. If you just showed up and did the work, would people know it was you? This is about process branding. It's the way that you handle the trash, the way you speak to the neighbor, the way you leave the job site cleaner than you found it. If your brand is only a sticker on a truck, you don't have a brand, you have a sticker. A real brand is a reputation that survives the death of a budget. Does anyone here have a signature move that people recognize you for? Now, People recognize my brand mostly because of my lotus blossom that is in the corner. And the fact that much of what I do is remote. Much of it is all online, which makes it so accessible for everybody. You, me, my clients. And so because there's no travel and all of that, and things are kind of cut and dry with my business, it makes me stand out because I do things that give back to the community. I do things like these master classes, and I offer pro bono hours to struggling businesses. Um, and I can assure you that there have been many, many times since November of 2020 that my business still existed, even when my budget was $0. I still kept my Google Workspace going. I still kept my postings going, my website, even in those times when it was $0 for me. And I have survived now for 6 years almost. It'll be 6 years in November of 2026. And so when it comes to resilience on an empty budget, I'm right there with you guys. I have crawled and I have clawed, just like so many of you. And so these are coming from my own experiences, my own lessons that I have learned, and the knowledge that I have gained through my various certifications. And all of my resources that I offer you guys are free and low cost. All right, so to close this out, if it looks like I've scared you into silence, it looks like I scared you into silence, or you're all busy downloading Canva to fix those ransom note flyers. And if you guys don't like Canva, there's also PicMonkey. Um, while it does have an entirely free tier, you are kind of restricted, but the moment you go premium, which is for like $12 a month, um, you significantly change the um I can't think of it. You significantly change the tides in your favor. PicMonkey is so much more user friendly than Canva in a lot of ways. Much of it is drop and drag. And it's awesome for if you want to be able to do some of those extra editing features without the extra steps. PicMonkey is a lot more straightforward also than Canva. Um, Either way, next week we are going to dive into the $20 brand stack. We are going to start building the identity that you deserve without the price tag that you can't afford. So stay gritty, stay unhinged, and I will see you next week. Next week will be at my normal 4 p.m. Again, this week was only because I needed bestie time. All right. I will talk to everybody next week. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend.